Alright. Okay. Now, every semester I always like to start the session. Start lah, walaupun sudah minggu ketiga, tapi ini dianggap start lah, masih di awal. Right? Masih di awal sesi. I always like to start the session with my students by covering um, this grammatical element, all right, which we call subject-verb agreement. And I'm sure if you guys have watched the videos that I've uploaded on EdPage together with a series of very comprehensive notes on subject-verb agreement, by now you should have understood a little bit more about subject-verb agreement, all right? And right here, over here, is a set of exercise, a set of sentences containing errors in terms of subject-verb agreement, right? Which I needed you guys to work on. Simply, you had to identify what is the subject and what's the verb, and to decide whether the subject and the verb agree with one another or not. All right. Now, I know that I've uploaded 2 videos covering subject-verb agreement with you guys, and then I've followed it up with a set of notes to help you understand it a bit more. And you also had the option of Googling what subject verb agreement is. And I'm sure some of you guys did that to further enhance your understanding in a subject verb agreement. But I will still try to briefly recap what subject verb agreement is, right? So I need you to really focus. If you have any question about it, feel free to ask me in the comment section, all right? Now, before we go to subject verb agreement, you must understand that in English, when you wish to construct a simple sentence in English, there are 2 elements that you must make sure appear or exist in that. Number one is what we call a subject, all right? And then when you have a subject, it must be followed by a verb. So these are the 2 elements that must appear. Number one is subject, number two is verb. Okay, now what is a subject? Subject is simple. It's always the question, who is doing what in that sentence? Siapa yang melakukan sesuatu di dalam ayat tersebut? It's always the focus of that sentence. Okay, fokus utama dalam ayat tersebut selalunya adalah subjek. Siapa yang melakukan sesuatu? Now, when I say siapa, it's not necessarily manusia yang melakukannya. It can be item. Alright. Now, to further explain about this, under subject, there are 3 breakdowns yang boleh common element that make a good subject. Number one is proper common noun, kata nama am, proper noun, kata nama khas, ataupun pronoun. Okay, pronoun. Now, kata nama am adalah apa-apa nama yang merujuk kepada sesuatu yang secara umum saja. Okay, anything that is general, yang tidak specific. For example, the university. When I say the university, do you know which university I'm talking about? Tidak kan? Because it's common. It can be any university. If you say my lecturers or my lecturer, okay, pensyarah saya, adakah dia merujuk kepada specific lecturer? Tidak. So when it does not refer to any specific person or item, normally those items or those things are common noun. Now, these common nouns can simply be translated or be changed into proper noun. When you say the university, specifically awak boleh mention Unimas or University Malaysia Sarawak. Now, when you have a name for something or a specific name for a noun, it becomes a proper noun already, which is kata nama khas. I believe you guys have learned about this when you were in primary or secondary school. Kata nama am, kata nama khas. Right? So you understand that. Okay. So kata nama am boleh menjadi subjek, kata nama khas pun boleh menjadi subjek. And also in English, we have this thing called pronoun. Pronoun adalah simple. Sama ada he, she, it, ataupun they. They ataupun we. Okay. But commonly, he, she, it, ataupun they. Now, he is for singular. Salah. He adalah untuk merujuk kepada lelaki. Okay, she is perempuan, it untuk bukan manusia, dan they adalah untuk ramai. Okay, I will talk about that specifically after this. Alright, so under subject, common noun, proper noun ataupun pronoun. Now subject here, it's there because it tells us what does it do, apa yang dia akan lakukan. That's why after you put subject in front, it will be followed by the verb. Now, if you have forgotten what verb is kata kerja. In Malay, we call it kata kerja. Simply put, kata kerja are words that show action, yang menunjukkan perbuatan. For example, sleep, eat, talk, walk, sing, jump, and so on. Apa-apa perkataan dalam bahasa Inggeris, any words in English that show action, perbuatan, are considered verb. Okay, so going back to the concept, in English, we have subject doing something. So that's why we have subject followed by verb. Okay, and optionally, kadang-kadang you can put an object in it. Now, object is simple. Object receives the action of the verb. Kalau awak melakukan sesuatu, siapa yang menerima perbuatan tersebut? So that's the object. Okay, so commonly we have subject plus verb. Optionally, there's an object. I say optional because kadang-kadang kalau tidak ada objek pun tidak mengapa. Okay, I think in Malay there was a term for it. I think kata kerja transitif atau kata kerja tak transitif. Ayat yang boleh berdiri dengan sendiri atau tidak boleh berdiri dengan sendiri, something like that, right? So in English, the concept of structure is simple. You have a subject and you have a verb. For example, I say my mother. My mother is a subject because my mother is orang yang akan melakukan something. Okay, my mother is singular. Satu. What does my mother do? My mother cooks. Ibu saya memasak. So that's why I say for you to come up with a good subject, you answer the question, apa yang dia lakukan? My mother cooks. So over there, it's complete already because my mother is a subject followed by the verb, which is cooks. Simple. Alright. Now, going back to the concept of subject-verb agreement, it's like this. The word agreement is there because when you have a subject followed by a verb, both of them must agree with one another. Kedua-dua mereka perlu bersetuju dengan satu sama lain. How do you make them bersetuju? Now, that's when we go down into that. Persetujuan, agreement between a subject and a verb is made from the concept of singular or plural. Singular maksudnya satu. Plural maksudnya lebih daripada satu. Okay. Now, singular subject is simple. Now, I'm just mentioning this on a general basis. Secara umum, peraturan yang umumnya adalah when a subject is singular, maksudnya when a subject is satu sahaja, dia tidak ada S. Tidak ada huruf S at the end. I know it sounds like a very childish or a trivial thing to mention. Tetapi selalu when a subject is singular, bila subject itu adalah satu sahaja, dia tidak ada S. For example, my lecturer. You know my lecturer is satu sahaja because I don't say my lecturers. If you say my lecturers, mungkin merujuk kepada ramai lecturer. But when you say my lecturer, itu adalah merujuk kepada seorang sahaja. So we know it's singular. Alright? Now, when you add S to my lecturer, it becomes my lecturers. So that becomes plural immediately. Okay? Now, going back to the concept, if you want to make subject agree with the verb, kalau subject itu singular, the verb must be in singular form. Now, this is when things get tricky. Kalau subject itu singular, the verb must be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb must be in plural form. You know now how to make a subject singular or plural. Tetapi verb, it's a bit different. Okay? Kalau subject itu ada S, verb tidak boleh ada S. Again, it's technically not like that, tetapi patternnya adalah sebegitu. Right? Coraknya adalah sebegitu. Apabila subjek awak apabila subjek awak tidak mempunyai S, verb mesti ada S. Tetapi kalau subjek awak ada S, maksudnya plural, verb tidak boleh ada S. So konsepnya di situ adalah terbalik. Kalau yang di hadapan, which is the subject, tidak ada S, verbnya mesti ada S. Dia tidak boleh dua-dua ada S, tidak boleh dua-dua tidak ada S. Faham Okay. So kalau subject singular, verb must be in singular form. If the subject is plural, verb must be in plural form. How does the form appear? If the subject does not have an S, the verb must have an S. If the subject has an S, the verb cannot have an S. Dia mesti terbalik. Okay? Setakat ini faham Okay, again, if you have any question about that, feel free to ask me in the chat. Now, if you manage to balance that, balance maksudnya make them agree with one another, agree maksudnya kalau satu ada S, satu tidak ada S, you have successfully understood the concept behind subject-verb agreement. Okay, but you have to understand just now earlier on I said it's just the general rule behind it. General maksudnya secara am. Kalau kita bercakap tentang khas, peraturan yang khas, dia ada lebih daripada. I don't want to confuse you by talking about too many things right now. Tetapi kadang-kadang subject in English tidak memerlukan S at the end untuk menunjukkan bahawa dia plural. Tidak semua plural subject ada S. Dan tidak semua huruf yang ada S at the end adalah plural. For example, news, the word news, N-E-W-S, berita. Okay, the word news is always news. There's no such thing as new. Kalau orang nak merujuk pada satu berita, for example, you're going to say, oh, I heard a new last night. No, it's always news. I heard news last night. Okay, so news, walaupun awak menggunakannya sebagai singular ataupun plural, it's always news. Berakhir dengan S. Okay, another example is perkataan yang plural yang lebih daripada satu tetapi tidak mempunyai S. For example, the word staff, kaki tangan ataupun staff lah satu F. Staff ataupun kaki tangan. One staff is S-T-F-F. More than one staff, it's still S-T-A-F-F. There's no such thing as staffs. Alright, the word staff does not exist with an S at the end, even though you are referring to many staff. Okay, so that's why I said things can get a bit tricky, but for now, I just want you to understand the concept. If it's a singular subject, there's no S, but a singular verb mesti ada S. Okay, a plural subject has an S, but a plural verb does not have an S. Dia mesti terbalik. Okay, dia mesti terbalik. Right? So, which is why in the set of exercises, sentences that you needed to work on, all of these sentences actually contain errors in terms of subject-verb agreement. And all you had to do was just to identify what's the subject and ask yourself whether the verb and the subject agree with one another. Agree maksudnya kalau satu ada S, satu tidak ada S. Kalau satu tak ada S, satu tu mesti ada S. Okay, so that's what we are here today. We need to discuss whether you have gotten the right answers to that or not. Okay. You guys are group 6, right? Okay, every time I highlight someone's answer on Ili, can I ask for that person's favor to identify yourself in the chat room, right? If I ask, for example, Nur Aimuni, are you here? Can you just reply with yes in the chat room? Aimuni, are you here? Nur Aimuni binti Muhammad Zaini, are you here? Yes, okay. I'll call you Aimuni, right? Aimuni, can you tell us for number 1, which one is the subject and whether the subject is singular or plural? For number one, what's the subject? Rain is the subject, correct? Now tell everyone, is rain a singular or plural subject? Rain is singular. Good, correct. But my question to you next is, how do you know it's singular? How do you know it's singular? How do you know rain is singular? Because rain have no S. Now, if you follow the rule that I've covered with you guys a few moments ago, um, it's correct. Using that basis, if the subject does not have an S, that means the subject is singular. If the subject has an S, that means the subject is plural. And over here, if you apply that rule, you are right. Tetapi for this particular context, it's actually more than that. Now, the rain, can you count it or not? Bolehkah dikira ataupun tidak? Uncountable. Correct. Do you know what uncountable is? Some of you know it, some of you don't. Uncountable comes from the word count. Un itu maksudnya tidak, tidak boleh. Betul? Count itu adalah kira. So when you say uncountable, maksudnya tidak boleh dikira. What does it mean by uncountable nouns? It simply means that there are words out there, or there are items out there in our world that no matter how long you live your life, you will never finish counting it. Anda tidak akan berjaya mengira berapa banyak benda itu, no matter how long you live your life. Rain is one example. Can you guys think of other examples of items out there that you can never finish counting? Uncountable nouns. Share it in the chat room. Benda yang awak tidak akan berjaya habis untuk kira. Rice, good. Water, good. Wind, correct. Sugar, salt. Keep them coming. What else? Yang wujud tetapi tidak boleh dikira. Hair, good. Rice, sudah disebut, but good. Sand. What else? Snow. Money, okay, good. Money is uncountable, correct. Oil, good. Leaf, good. Air, good. Hair has been mentioned. All right. Butter, technically, variations of food cannot be counted. All right. So you get the idea. All right. Yes, microorganism, zara, cells, whatever. Okay. The idea is simple. Anything that you know are out there or is out there, but you cannot count, those things are considered as uncountable nouns. Now remember this, it's very simple. Uncountable nouns, when you put them as a subject, okay, when you put uncountable nouns as the subject, they always take a singular form. Okay, I repeat, when you put uncountable nouns as the subject, they always appear as a singular item, singular form. So because they always take singular form, the verb that comes after that must be in singular form as well. Maksudnya verb itu mesti ada S. Every time. If your subject is uncountable noun. Now the rain over there is an example. Because you cannot count rain, automatically the subject is singular. So because it's a singular subject, the verb pours must have an S. Okay? The verb pour must have an S. So the rain pours heavily. Oh, I forgot to mention to you guys one trick that I've been sharing with my students for the past few years. Untuk mengenal pasti subjek adalah mudah, senang. You just have to ask a question. What's the focus of that sentence? Siapa yang melakukan sesuatu in that sentence? If you are able to figure that out, That is the subject. What's a bit trickier is identifying the verb. Okay? Untuk mengenal pasti adakah perkataan itu kata kerja ataupun bukan. Okay? That's always a challenge for many students out there. Now, I've come up with a really good trick that you can probably apply. When you see a word in English and you're not sure whether the word is a verb or not, so what you do first is you translate the word into Malay. Okay? You translate the word into Malay and then tambahkan imbuhan me di hadapan. Tambahkan imbuhan me di hadapan. For example, if I give you the word see, okay, S-E-E, see. See in Malay is lihat, right? See in Malay is lihat. So, you tambahkan imbuhan me di hadapan, dia jadi melihat. Now, if the word makes sense once you have added the imbuhan me di hadapan, maksudnya perkataan itu adalah kata kerja. Okay, I repeat, if the word makes sense or if you are very familiar with the word once you have added imbuhan me di hadapan, that means that word is a verb. Apart from see, lihat, we also have the word sing, menyanyi. Okay, so you translate into Malay, it becomes nyanyi, tambahkan imbuhan me, dia jadi menyanyi. It's a common word, so it's a verb, right? Jump, J-U-M-P, jump. You're not sure if jump is a verb or not. So you do it translate into Malay, it becomes lompat. Tambahkan imbuhan me, it becomes melompat. Does it make sense? Yes. So it's a verb, right? Now, when you translate a word into Malay and tambahkan imbuhan me di hadapan, but it sounds weird, you know that you've never heard that word in your life. There's a high chance that that word is not a verb. For example, sky, S-K-Y, sky. Translate into Malay, it becomes langit, right? Tambahkan imbuhan me, melangit. Ada kau orang cakap melangit? Kau melangit lah. Ada ke? Tak ada, right? Langsir, curtain. And you're not sure whether curtain is a verb or not. So you translate into Malay, it becomes langsir. Tambah imbuhan me, jadi melangsir. Ada kau orang cakap melangsir? Mana ada? Okay, so if it doesn't make sense, it's not a word. It's not a verb. But if it does make sense, it is a verb. That's how you do it. Okay. So number 1, Aimoni, you got the answer correct. Congratulations. Number 2, Nur Eliana. You here, Nur Eliana? Nur Eliana, are you here? Yes, Nur Eliana. Now, Eliana, can you tell us in sentence number 2, what's the subject there and whether it's singular or plural? The world is the subject, correct? Is it singular or plural subject? Singular, correct. Okay. The world over there is a singular subject. Okay. But if you want to change the word to plural, boleh ditambahkan S. It's one of the words out there yang boleh ditambahkan S untuk menjadi plural. Rain just now, you cannot add S because it's always like that. Okay. But world, you can add S in here. Now, because the world over there is a singular subject, the verb witness becomes witnesses. So you add ES at the end. Alright. Konsepnya adalah terbalik. Again, going back to number 1, the rain tak ada S. So verbnya mesti ada S. This one, noun dia, subject dia tak ada S. This one ditambah ES. Okay. Alright. Thank you very much, Eliana. That's correct. Number 3. Can we have Mr. Ho? Are you here, Mr. Ho Chun Yang? Ho Chun Yang, are you here? All right. Oh. Now, sir, can you tell us for number three, what's the subject? And is it singular or plural?
Sir, Hansel
Yes.
and Gretel is plural.
Tunjuk aku. You don't have to switch on the audio. Sekejap. Sekejap, sekejap. Okay. Hansel and Gretel is a plural subject. It's a plural subject. Now remember when I told you about subjects early on, generally when a subject is plural, there's an S. But there are certain cases when a subject is plural, but there's no S. Okay. Now this is one of the examples. As you can see here, Hansel is actually one, singular, and Gretel is also one, singular. Tapi when this singular is combined with another singular item using the word and this is a magical word, huh? When you see items are combined using the word and in the subject, the whole subject automatically becomes a plural subject because the word and maksudnya lebih daripada satu. And itu sudah menunjukkan lebih daripada satu. Okay, so when you combine one item, a singular item, with another singular item in a subject using the word and, the whole thing, the whole subject automatically becomes a plural subject. As simple as that. Kalau awak nampak a subject in front ada penggunaan and, tak payah fikir panjang, it is a plural immediately. Okay, so because Hansel and Gretel is plural subject, the verb over here is kill. Okay, again over here you tak boleh guna pakai the concept of terbalik lah. Terbalik yang I maksudkan awal tadi, kalau depan ada S, belakang tidak ada S. Kalau depan tidak ada S, belakang ada S. You tak boleh apply kat sini because the whole subject here tak ada S. So kalau awak menggunakan the concept, setengah orang dia akan cakap Hansel and Gretel kills, which is wrong. Because ini sudah menunjukkan bahawa itu adalah plural. Okay, so the verb must be in plural form. Alright, congratulations all. Correct answer. Number 4. Jocelyn, are you here, Jocelyn? Jocelyn, are you here? Jocelyn? Jocelyn anak Gunda, are you here? Tak ada Jocelyn. Menghilangkan diri. Fiona? You here, Fiona? Fiona Chiu. Ah, yes. Hi, Fiona. Now, Fiona, for number 4, can you tell us what's the subject there? Subject is the flowers. Now, is it a singular or plural subject? Plural, correct. Simply plural because there's an S there. Now, because the subject is plural, the verb over here must be in plural form. Alright? Now, if you see here, your friend got the answer right, are blooming now. But this is actually one sentence that you might be confused about. Remember when I told you about verbs earlier on? Verbs are words in English that show action, alright? Yang menunjukkan perbuatan. Now that's actually the first type of verb that I want you guys to know. Perkataan yang menunjukkan perbuatan adalah what we call action words, action verbs. Walk, talk, sing, jump, sleep, and whatnot. Those words menunjukkan perbuatan, so they call these words action verbs. Now, apart from action verb, there's another type of verb which we call verb to be. Okay, a type of verb is verb to be. Now, verb to be is simple. There are three of them. One is am, is, are. I repeat, under verb to be, it's either am, is, ataupun are. I'll type in the chat room so that you can remember. Am, is, are. Okay, now, am is only exclusively for if your subject is I as in saya. When your subject is I, the verb to be that must come after that is am. Dia tak boleh I, is, or IR. Tidak. That's incorrect. Okay, so am is only exclusively for the subject is I, if the subject is I. Is, you use is when the subject in front is a singular subject. Alright? And are is when the subject is in front is plural. Okay, now the thing about using verb to be in your sentence is this. When you put a subject in front, followed by a verb to be, am, is, ataupun are, selepas itu, if there is a verb that comes after that, the verb must end with ing. I repeat, if you have a subject in front, followed by a verb to be, and let's say after the verb to be, you want to add another verb, another action verb, that action verb must end with ing. For example, in that sentence at number 4, the flowers I planted last week are blooming right now. So the flowers is a plural subject. Are is the verb to be, which is correct. And then bloom is a verb, but ending with ing. So that's the structure that you have to follow. When you want to put a verb in your sentence, after the verb to be, it must end with ing. Alright? Now, this is the first variation of right answer for this. Another simpler version of this is, you can just simply say, the flowers I planted last week bloom now. Bloom sahaja. Bukan blooms. Dia tak boleh blooms because the flowers is already plural. Ada S. Mesti terbalik. Okay? Right, so number 5. Let's do this together, alright? I don't need to highlight your name or who you are. Number 5. The educators in that university participate in the conference. The subject over here is the educators. Now this one is obviously a plural subject because there's an S there. So the verb participate does not have an S. Okay, so this is correct. The educators in that university participate in the conference. Number 6. The bird in the cage tweets very happily. The bird is a singular subject, satu saja. So that's why the word the subject is singular. So that's why the verb ends with an S. Tweets, berkicau, berkicauan. Okay, the bird in the cage tweets very happily. Number 7. Subject is the books. Alright, plural because there's an S. So the verb, no S, arrived today from the store. Okay. Number 8. Everyone works hard for their future. Everyone works hard for the future. Now this one right here, the whole sentence is correct, but I just need to highlight this to you. Everyone has other variations, right? We have everyone, we have everybody, we have someone, we have somebody, we have no one, and we have nobody. So 6 common variations for that. Okay. Now, even though a lot of people can confuse this, everyone, everybody, no one, nobody, they can confuse this with referring to many people. Sebenarnya, when you use these words, mereka hanya merujuk kepada seorang saja sebenarnya. Everyone, everybody, no one, nobody, someone, somebody adalah merujuk kepada seorang sahaja. So because they merujuk kepada seorang sahaja, they always take a singular form. Okay, so because they take a singular form, the verb that comes after them must have an S. So everyone works, everybody sings, someone stops, somebody jumps. Semua kata kerja yang datang selepas all these words mesti berakhir dengan S. Okay, right? Number 9. The first swimmer who reaches the line are the winner. Now, what's the subject here? The first swimmer. Singular or plural? Singular. Seorang saja. The first swimmer. Perenang pertama. Okay. So the first swimmer who reaches, correct? Because you're talking about one swimmer. So the verb ends with es. Now, what's wrong with the rest of the sentence? Just one more error. Siapa yang boleh tolong jawab? What's wrong with this sentence? Ada satu lagi kesalahan. Anyone? Don't feel scared if you think your answer is wrong, because that's how you learn, right? You just have to share with what you have in mind. What do you think is the final error here? Yeah, Fakira Shara here. You mentioned R. What's wrong with R? If you say R is wrong, what is it supposed to be? Muhammad Rizal, line. Is? The answer is R. Because remember when I told you just now, M is or R, is digunakan untuk merujuk pada subjek yang singular, R digunakan untuk merujuk pada subjek yang plural. Okay, over here, the subject is singular. So obviously, you cannot use R. It's supposed to be is. So the right sentence here is, the first swimmer who reaches the line is the winner. Because is still merujuk kepada the first swimmer. Okay, right? Last but not least, number 10. Maria is a singular proper noun, kata nama khas. Nama orang adalah sentiasa nama khas. So Maria is a singular, satu. So the verb is completes, melengkapkan, menghabiskan. Okay. Maria completes the house chores in just a couple of hours. Okay. You have questions, anak-anak? Ada persoalan about anything? Any question, anyone? No question? Semua dah pandai dah? Tak ada question? Semua dah pandai dah? Yes, Fakira? Fakira has a question. Everyone, everybody, someone, somebody, no one, nobody, semuanya adalah singular. Sentiasa singular. Good question. Other questions? Every people tidak wujud, because every itu menunjukkan seorang. Okay? People itu banyak, jadi dia bertentangan, dia tidak boleh bergabung. Every adalah seorang, people adalah banyak. Okay? So that's why if you want to merujuk kepada seorang, dia mesti jadi everyone ataupun everybody. Dia tidak boleh every people. Every people tidak wujud dalam English. Okay. Okay, Esther? Walau bagaimanapun, ada tambahan. Kalau awak menggunakan perkataan every di hadapan, diikuti dengan kata nama selepas itu, ini kata nama am lah. Kata nama am tersebut mesti dalam singular form. For example, every university. Awak tak boleh cakap every universities. Dia mesti every university, every student. Dia bukan every students. Tidak boleh. Sebab every tadi sudah merujuk pada seorang saja. So every student, every university, every class, every day. You know the term every day, right? There's no such thing as every days. Tidak wujud. Okay? So every day, I'm confused pula. Baca pula ayat kau, soalan kau. I'm still confused in question 9. Question 9, apa yang confused? What's confusing about that? It's not a question, it's a sentence. What's confusing you at number 9? Kamarul Arifin? You're so confused, you don't know what confuses you. What's confusing you at number 9? Okay, yeah. And then? Yeah, at first, this original answer written by your friend, dalam ayat ini ada 2 kesalahan. Alright? Tapi hanya satu kesalahan saja yang di-highlight oleh your friend. So that's why I asked you just now, what's the other error? The other error is this. R ini sepatutnya menjadi is. Okay. I edit dah. I boleh edit jawapan awak. Maksudnya di sini adalah instead of reaches saja, dia mesti menjadi is di sini. So sekarang sudah ada 2 pembetulan. The first swimmer who reaches the line is the winner. Perenang pertama yang sampai ke garisan penamat adalah pemenang. Masih confused, Kamarul Arifin? Tidak. Kalau dah garu-garu macam tu, macam confused. Okay. Good question. Any other questions? Tak ada. Now let's move on to the next activity that I wanted you guys to do. You also needed to share with me the lyrics to your favorite song, English song, and you had to identify the usage of subject-verb agreement. Subject and verb, the correct usage of subject and verb agreement. Now, I've shared with you guys here one of the songs that I really love. I'm sure you guys have heard of the song by Jason Mraz. In these lyrics, there are a few sentences that use the correct usage of subject-verb agreement. For example, they love to kiss. They is plural subject. So that's why love after that is in the base form. There's no S. So they love to kiss. They are giving birth. Okay, they is the plural subject. Are giving is the verb. Right? Are giving. You is the, even though you is singular, tapi you always takes a plural form. Sentiasa. So whatever verb that you put after you, dia mesti dalam base form. Tidak boleh ada S, tidak boleh ada ing. Alright, so you expose all What does you do? You expose all memory. Okay. So let's see the samples that you have shared. Let's start from the bottom. Imagination is a very popular song shared by a lot of you, even from other classes. I've never heard of the songs. Probably I should listen to it later. Yeah, I know this song. I think I know this song. This is Kelly Clarkson, right? Who posted this? Someone. Okay. Now, in this lyrics, you put here, I've learned the hard way. Subject is I. Verb is have learned. Good. Okay, have learned. I find it hard to trust you, not only me. Subject is I. Verb is find. Good. Very good. I lose my way. I is the subject. Lose is the verb. You guys know this song? You don't know, right? Because this was a long time ago. You guys were probably still kids when this song came out. Okay, good. Who shared that just now? Nur Eliana. Let's find another song. Lewis Capaldi. Oh, 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 oh. Let me find a very familiar one. There's no familiar one. Oh, this one. Bruno Mars talking to him. Okay. Alex. Is this a song that you dedicated to your girlfriend, Alex? Talking to Lulu. I know you're somewhere out there. The subject is I. Verb is no. Good. My neighbors think. My neighbors is the plural subject. Very good. Think is the verb. Correct. Okay. I is the subject. Sit is the verb. Correct. They is a plural subject. So the verb is say, not says. Good. Very good. Very good highlights. Fly me to the moon. This is a classic one. Um, while this is not wrong, I will not touch on that yet because that comes under a more complex rule in writing English sentences. So I'll skip that part. Huh? But thank you for sharing that. I love this Fly Me to the Moon song. I don't know what Sunday morning is, but everyone loves Sunday morning. So let's look at that. I think I'll walk. So I think I'll take a walk in the park. The subject is I. The verb is walk. Now, this is not entirely wrong, tetapi sebenarnya when you put I as a subject, apa yang I ini lakukan adalah bukan walk, tapi I ini think dahulu. Think. So, I is the subject, think is the verb. Right? This one is correct. I is the subject, see is the verb. You is the subject, said is the verb. Correct. Okay? Any other songs that you want me to highlight or you want me to sing? Trouble is a friend is also an old song. Yeah, I know this song. Good. All right. He is a singular subject. So the verb is waits. Very good. He is a singular subject, so the verb is sees. He sees what I see. He knows what I know. Very good one, right? He always seems to grow. Subject is he, verb is seems. Always bukan seems is a subject here. He makes me feel. He is a singular subject. Makes is a singular verb. Very good. Very good. All right. So I believe everyone has got a good idea already of what subject verb agreement is. I'll be looking at some of the lyrics to know what song that is because I love listening to music. So thank you very much for your contribution. Now, um, even though we have finished discussing subject verb agreement today, it doesn't mean that in the future you cannot bring this up anymore. Anytime in the future that you feel like you're still confused about subject verb agreement or any other grammatical elements for that matter, don't feel scared to ask the question because I believe whatever we cover in prep one, it's always an ongoing process. So it doesn't stop at a specific time only. All right. So if you have any question, feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to share with you the answers for that. All right. So I believe that's the end of our session today. Thank you very much for spending your time to join this session. I'm going to share the QR code again for those of you who failed to scan the first time just now. If you have scanned your attendance, thank you very much. You can leave the session after this. All right. Yang gunakan phone, tinggalkan your metric number. I'll key in your attendance later on. So Kim Arhana, I scanned your attendance already manually. Siam Sina, you here? Wandamia, Susan, and Carlsbergen. Tak ada. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you around. Bye.